Databases and the data analytics on AWS Cloud. This is the topic we are going to cover today on day 7 of a 12 days video series with me, Atul, from team K21Academy, where we are learning from everything from a basics on every day within under 15 minutes. All the topics on AWS Cloud cover including things like networking, storage, compute, databases, DevOps, and all the things including certification preparation and resume and interview preparation. Now, today's topic is databases and data analytics, which is and as a data architect, data administrator. This is very close to my heart because I started my career as a DBA working on Oracle, then transitioned my first job in cloud as an Oracle cloud, then transitioned to other cloud as well. And that's why you see, if you see this t-shirt is all my first, still have this t-shirt back in 2000, I think 2013, 14, or I think I got it in probably 2017 or 16 or 17 when I started working on multi-cloud. So today we are going to look everything about databases, both from a relational or SQL database to NoSQL database, and then data analytics. Given that we only have 15 minutes, now 14 or 13 minutes, I'm going to go fast, but we'll try to cover as much as we can. Otherwise, I'll give you some tips on where you can learn more, including these links that you see, which are pointing to our blog, where you will find more information on written by my team. Also, how you can get hold of this 13 or 12 days video series, which we are talking about right now. So first and most important, there are different type of databases in different categories. RDS, that stands for relational databases, which has a format in a table, which is rows and columns, and there is a relation between these tables we call a relational database, or also SQL database, which is a structured query language database. So they are different flavors, which we'll see in a minute, maybe for MySQL, SQL, Oracle database, IBM DB2, and Postgres, and few other databases. Then you have a DynamoDB, which is a NoSQL database, which data doesn't store in a structured query language format, NoSQL format as well, which is a key value pair for highly unstructured data and document data. Then you have Elastic Cache in-memory database, and something think of it is coming from an Oracle background. Oracle has timestamp databases that they acquired in-memory database. Then you have a RedShift, which is a data warehouse solution from AWS, which is proprietary. And then they have a Aurora, which is a MySQL compatible proprietary AWS database. Now, if you want to see again, we covered on day one these AWS console where we looked at all the services. There you click on these services. On day one we covered and created this account. I've already logged into this account. So you go and click on databases, and here you will see all the databases, different type of databases that you can further look at. There are additional databases which I've not mentioned here. Document DB is one of them as well. So the most common one I've seen is the RDS, and then because it's a relational, but then you also have NoSQL databases picking up a lot now these days. So you go to RDS, relational data services, and this is where you go and create all the relational databases which are available on AWS Cloud. Let it come and then we'll see. So when you create a database, you're going to create across regions, across availability zones. What is region and availability zone we covered on day one of this. So this is where all different type of databases you cover. This is Aurora, which is a proprietary I was talking about. This is a Postgres, Aurora Postgres, which is Postgres compliant. Then you have RDS for MySQL, RDS for MariaDB, Postgres, Oracle, Microsoft SQL Server, and so on. And this is where you'll be creating these databases, including production type, test type, and free type. We'll talk about these creation of that a little bit later. So that's a relational databases which I was talking about. All these databases. Then you can configure read replicas for high availability and disaster recovery. You can span or you can stretch these databases across availability zones, across regions, but then you can configure them as a read replica, which means they are replicated. You can only read to those instances, but not write. So for example, you have this application, this is a master database where you are updating any update, deletion, reader happening, whereas it's continuously replicating onto the read replica. And if you're coming from an Oracle database, you have a standby read-only databases as well on the same concept. You can, if you want to read something from an application, you can read from here. Then you have Amazon Aurora, which is AWS's proprietary databases. Then you have a DynamoDB, which is a NoSQL database offered by which is data is stored in a key value pair that you do. So you can click more on knowing more about relational databases, and you can create them as well by going into this console here and look at more on DynamoDB that I was showing earlier. So on databases here. Then you have Amazon Elastic Cache, I've already mentioned on there, which is an in-memory database, which is you can build, you can create, you can manage for in-memory, which needs high performance, high throughput for database types as well. How do you create them? How do you set up them? How all this work? Maybe you can further read down on further on this. Then you have a document DB. I think I've already covered these. There's another one which is Neptune. The reason being is I've only assigned 15 minutes. I would give 7.5 minutes to this and another 7.5 minutes to data analytics. And if I see enough comments, if you want to go deeper, then I can create a more follow-up videos for that. So Neptune is a graph database, which is to build and run applications that work with highly connected data sets that need graphs databases as well for this. So that is on a high level relational and no relational or no SQL databases. Then analytics is where you run some data analytics data or on those kind of a services are under the data analytics services, and majority there are many more. I'm going to cover the three most common, which is Amazon Athena, Amazon EMR, and Amazon RedShift and Kinesis. These are the four ones which are more common, which we have seen when we are implementing for our customers. Also, when we see our students who go and work on different clients, or they are coming back with interviews and job preparation as well. So first, let's look at what is Athena and how does it work, and we'll go one by one on each of these as well, please then. So the first one is Amazon Athena, and Athena is nothing but an interactive query service that can analyze the data on either from a S3 or any other federated data where data is coming in a structured query language or structured format. You can have an S3 or you can have some other place as well. So how does it work? Typically, when you're running any analytics thing, you need an engine which will then on which you run an analytics engine on which then will go and fetch or query your databases. Whereas this is a serverless, which means you don't need to manage that server. You're asking Athena to do that service for you, and it'll be charging based on how you use that Athena basically. So not managing any compute. AWS is going to provide you. So it's a serverless query, and how it's going to work is you create an Athena instance or service, and then it will go and attach against wherever your the data is running, and you can run some more queries as well. So let me actually go and show it to you here in the console. So if you click here under all the databases were under database here we saw earlier. My all my analytics services will be under analytics, and this is the first Athena that you're going to do. Later, I think on our blog we might have some additional documents or some labs on Athena, because we have a step-by-step like in our job-oriented program we talk and do the hands-on lab on Athena. There should be a link, so maybe in my update on the email we will add those link as well for you. So if you click here on this query, and this is where you will be seeing what is my data source, where exactly you're going to pick your data source and what are the database types and so on, and then you can just type the query and against run that analysis against that from a dynamic using the query editor of Athena. We'll go deeper into if I see enough demand on this particular on any of these services that you're watching here. Then number two is Amazon EMR, or we call it Elastic Map Reduce, which is nothing but a managed platform that simplifies your big data frameworks or managing big data analytics, big data framework like Apache Hadoop and Apache Spark on AWS Cloud. So whatever you were doing on premise where you needed a huge amount of data set, huge amount of compute, huge amount of big storage as well, everything for Hadoop and Apache Spark that being run on AWS, that's basically EMR, Elastic Map Reduce, for managing Hadoop and Apache Spark. So what you do, EMR lets you what to do. You have a huge amount of data that you can bring it from like normal traditional databases or S3 buckets or DynamoDB or different places and put them into let them manage through EMR as well. So what you can do, you can basically bring the data, manage, clean, and do all your processing, whatever you want to do on for Hadoop and Apache Spark as well. And then okay, let me show it to you as well on here on inside. So what you're going to do is you're going to go into again analytics and then search and come under Elastic Map Reduce, or just type EMR on the search window. You'll be coming here on the screen, and then go and create cluster and do play with all the features that you see here. You have a EMR Studio, you have EMR. EMR can be done, or your processing can be these clusters. Need compute, that could be an EC2, which is a virtual machine. It could be on an Elastic Container Service, Kubernetes, that we saw, I think, one of the compute module. If you want to know more about EKS, Kubernetes, or any topic that you have learned so far, just leave a comment so we can go a little bit more deeper into these topics as well. And then comes your RedShift, as I was talking about. It's a data warehouse and business intelligence solution proprietary to Amazon AWS as well. So what it does, as I said, data warehousing service, but on AWS cloud that you see. So not only you do the data analytics, but it also are the administrative task, like for example, capacity monitoring, backing up, restore, patching, upgrade and on everything on AWS Cloud on a Redshift engine. So again, you go here on analytics and click down and search on bottom Amazon Redshift, and you're building the entire data warehousing solution on AWS's proprietary solution here. So next is Amazon Kinesis, which is the service which is to collect, process, and analyze both the data, basically streaming data as well as videos in a real-time environment. So let's suppose you have data coming from different sources, like your data coming from IoT device, or for example, chit chat coming from Twitter feed, for example, or your company, or you're getting updates, or any streaming data that is coming that can come from multiple devices coming into Amazon Kinesis, and then Kinesis, sorry, will be analyzing the data, and then it can store the output on using a firehose. There are multiple services that when you go inside the Kinesis, they will shift, and then you can put the output into either the S3 buckets or Redshift or different sources as well. Again, same thing. You go to click on here on the services. One second. On here on the console, and click on my analytics services again, and this should be Kinesis here. Streaming data. In fact, inside, I think in our job-oriented program, we go and deeper into these performing these labs as well. So this is Kinesis, and then yeah, so this is, let me go back, sorry. Now within Kinesis, you have a couple of things, which is Kinesis data stream, which is collecting the data stream, or collecting the streaming data with the data stream. And then you have a fire hose that basically processes and delivers all this streaming data that you've received from a data stream. And then there's another one, which is Apache Flink, which was initially data analytics service within for this streaming data as well. So this is in a nutshell about all different type of databases, which is your relational data, non-relational data, and then you have a data analytics services like Athena, EMR, Redshift, and Kinesis as well. And now this is not the complete list. I've given you the most important things that you should be learning within 15 minutes as well. Now, as I said earlier, inside I have a job-oriented program where we go deeper into these both databases as well as data analytics services, where we cover and complete all the step-by-step hands-on lab, including project work on these things like relational databases, non-relational databases, DynamoDB, SQL databases, MySQL databases, Oracle databases, Redis, and then configuring these Athena, Glue, Kinesis, and then connecting them with building an event-driven architecture based on these streaming data as well. If you want to know more about, you can go and register for a free class that we do by going to K21Academy.com/AWS02. With that, task for today, go and create a relational database using a link which I've clicked on this email here, will also be given in the description below. We are going to go and create a MySQL database and connect to this SQL database to understand this concept. Now, tomorrow, we are going to look at the next part, which is going to be after databases. We are going to look at the application and messaging service like simple email service, notification service, queue service, and a lot more. With that, this is Atul from Team K21 Academy. Give me a feedback on what you think about today's session, any additional thing that you want, and let me know how it goes. I'll see you tomorrow.